Matt Lorimer. Good evening, council and people at home. I have a few comments tonight. One is the camp that's going to have the firefighters. It's a shame that it's going to be located here, but again, I have to ask the council. You've repeatedly said that experience matters. I think it's relationships. I'm really shocked that it's going forward and that there's nothing else you could have done. And again, you run on that, so that's disappointing. The next thing I want to talk about is the Camero Ranch, $72,000 loss. You know, that's a fiscal misconduct of money. The city manager, Dave Norman, he's responsible basically for the management of the city. The idea that you lose $72,000, you know, Tony is an attorney, Kevin owns a business, Ms. Craven, you have rentals, you do accounting, Jan, Mr. Morgan, I'm not going to go there. We know about the Fiesta, but the bottom line,
proud about law enforcement.
Okay, it's my turn to talk, Mike.
Yeah,
remember
go ahead.
The bottom line is, you know something, when you lose $72,000, that's the taxpayers' money. And then when you put the same people on the board, I think it's time that the city take over the finances of that. You should have volunteers, but the idea you lose $72,000 is just, what do you say? The next thing I want to talk about is the hospital getting $500,000. You know something? We need a senior center. You have graffiti all over the city. The idea that a hospital that makes multi-millions of dollars in your town that closed the ward for people who are having kids basically a few years ago is unacceptable. The idea that they're going to get $500,000 when you got graffiti all over, you've got people have been wanting a senior center. That's money well spent. The idea, $500,000. What could you do to make this city better? Let's start with all the graffiti. Let's start with the police department helping them out, Crime Stoppers. And again, a senior center. You know, we've been talking about this for years. I haven't heard any updates, really. I think the seniors in this community want a new senior center, and I like more than we're working on it, and we're going to get to it in a few months. I mean, it really needs to move the ball. And, you know, if you're going to give $500,000 to lobbyists who come in here and talk to you privately or wherever, maybe you ought to take that money and use it for your city, and you ought to put it in the senior center. You know, and you also should work on the crime issue in the city. Okay. Oh, you're going to say it's not that bad, Mr. Morgan. I know that. That's your comments all the time. But the bottom line is this. That's atrocious, that kind of money that's going to be given out. And, you know, that's why we're voting for term limits. And I think we need them in this city. You know, if you're going to run on experience, you got to solve problems.
Thank you. Dennis.